Hi, this is Editing Me. I wanted to jump in here really quickly and just let you know that I know that my style is very light and smiley, but that does not mean that I am not taking this situation extremely seriously and that this isn't like a life or death topic to be talking about. I do take this very seriously. I have two very dear friends, one of which he is 5 years younger than me. He's a rancher. He could, break me over his knee. He's a big, strong man, and he is on a ventilator in the ICU right now, and he has been fighting for his life for 2 weeks. Another friend of mine is also in the hospital, and he's receiving transfusions to try to build some immunity against this disease. Um, they're very concerned about him, clots in his lungs, and uh, he's the same age as me, and he regularly biked across the nation and just is extremely healthy and didn't have any underlying conditions at all. So um, I am aware that this is extremely serious, and if you are going to come into my comment section to tell me that this virus isn't a big deal or that masks don't work or anything like that, I just need you to stop this video right now and I want you to take a good hard look at yourself, um, because we're only going to get through this if we do this together. Okay, so just know that if I find that sort of thing in my comment section, I'm just going to delete it. I'm not going to debate anybody. I'm not going to argue with anybody. With that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the video.
Masks, right? In a lot of places in the world that are densely populated, people have used masks for a long time to help slow the spread of disease because when humans are packed tight together, um, things can spread pretty easily from person to person on the particulate in the air. I live in the middle of the United States, and seeing people in a mask in 2019 and before was a very rare thing. Now we live in a time where there's a very contagious virus and it hangs in the air for a very long time. So even in very unpopulated areas like I live in, it's very important to wear a mask. And so we're kind of learning from these societies that have always worn masks. And I would kind of like to see it stick around. I would often go to work with a cold, and I work in a job with young people, and so every year it seemed like strep throat would go around and all these respiratory type infections. And I have to wonder if it was common practice to, if you had the sniffles, if you wore a mask, that these sort of diseases wouldn't have spread around so much. So I think we can learn a lot from this year, especially since I've a whole boatload of really cute masks now. I think I'm going to use them after this whole thing is over. That being said, this whole thing is nowhere near over. We have some vaccines on the horizon, but we're still 2 months away from those being available, even to people on the front lines, let alone everybody. So it's still really important to, well, stay home for the most part. Don't go to Thanksgiving, I mean it. But also, if you do have to go out, try to stay away from people and absolutely wear a mask. Like, it's super easy. Now, like I said, back in March when this all started, I had never worn a mask for this purpose before. And so I wasn't used to it. And I was in lockdown with my husband, and I was the designated person to sort of run errands because it's just safer if one person does it instead of both people. So I went out by myself to get provisions once a week, and I masked up and I tried to stay away from people, and I washed my hands, before I left and when I came back. And when I got back to the house, every time after one of these runs, my throat felt very scratchy and sore. And so, of course, I panicked and thought, like, oh no, this is it. I have the virus. But after some Google searching, I was trying to figure out, what was causing this soreness in my throat. And of course, the thought did cross my mind, like, is it the mask? Like, is this affecting me somehow while I'm wearing it? Like, obviously, even if it was, like, that would be a price that I would absolutely pay to keep other people safe. Like, of course. But after a little bit of Googling, I found out that it was anxiety. Going out by yourself in a pandemic, when the pandemic was fresh and we didn't really know what was going on. Frankly, it's still scary now. But, the store shelves were mostly bare and it was just very apocalyptic. And I didn't realize it, but the whole time I was out, I was clenching this part of my body. And then when I got home, the muscles were sore from clenching. To feel better, I actually had to manage my level of stress, and it had nothing to do with the mask. So when I put on the mask, I realized I was clenching my jaw. And so I just had to desensitize myself to wearing the mask because I realized that I was associating the mask with going out into public into this, panic. Because when I was home and, you're watching movies and you're trying to get work done, like, you're a little bit removed from it. And then when you go out, you have to deal with what's going on. And so I was associating me putting on the mask with me being out in this world that was so scary right now. And so my brain was relating the mask to anxiety. And so I was searching for some ways to try to detach the mask from anxiety, because there's no reason to be anxious about the mask. So, how can we do that in a witchy way? How can we connect with our masks in a positive way, but make it witchy? And of course, I found some folks who were anointing their masks with essential oils or herbs in a sort of ritualistic way. However, that's very dangerous, especially peppermint or lemon was their essential oils of choice. And I don't think that there's a way that you can safely anoint a mask with something like peppermint oil, because that is so inflammatory to your mucous membrane. So if you're putting peppermint oil anywhere near this mask, and then the mask goes on your face, and now I'm wearing it every day for work, so it's going to go on my face for almost 8 continual hours. I take it off for 20 minutes to eat my lunch. But having anything that's close to peppermint oil, that close to your face for that amount of time, is going to irritate, burn, inflame your mucous membrane. And it could also actually burn your skin. You can give yourself chemical burns. Once in a while on social media, somebody would pop up with oh, I always put peppermint oil directly onto my mask. It helps me keep awake and it's antiseptic, so it kills the virus. First of all, no. If I light a petri dish on fire, that will also kill a virus. However, I can't replicate that in my own body. You cannot contain enough peppermint oil to kill a virus and still be alive. That's not how this works. That's the same reason that we don't drink bleach, right? So put that out of your mind. To anoint a mask does not sanitize it. You still have to wash your mask because the soap that you wash the mask with breaks down the protective layer around the virus and allows it to be killed. So so they're talking about anointing the mask with peppermint oil, and I'm just imagining I would have chemical burns all over my face if I did that. So it's probably not a good idea to anoint your mask with any sort of herbs or oils. I know it smells really nice, but it's just if that oil mixes with your sweat and then disperses across your face, you could end up with a pretty serious chemical burn. So it's just not a good idea. And honestly, even fragrances, you really shouldn't have anything like that stuck up your face for 8 hours. It's just not a good idea. So instead, what I did was I would wear the mask during ritualistic meditative moments. And so that way I would associate the mask with calmness and serenity instead of stress and fear. And this has really helped me. So now when I put the mask on, it feels like a protective layer. And honestly, it feels like a fashion statement. It looks pretty cool to go out in a mask. I think it really helps if you get some masks that you really like the look of. That match your outfit. Also get a mask that's really comfortable. Make sure it goes all the way up your nose and all the way down around your chin. If you have a mask that's too small, it will be constantly shifting around when you open your mouth, and that can be very irritating. If you have a mask that's too thin, then as you breathe, it will like come back up into your mouth, and that's obviously really uncomfortable. So find a mask that you're very comfortable in. If you're connecting anxiety to the mask, think about wearing it while you're doing something that you enjoy. Like if you're at home reading a book, like try wearing your mask when you're reading a book. If you're at home like watching your favorite show, or if you do mindfulness meditation, consider wearing your mask at that time. And then you can start associating the mask with something that is everyday, normal, like comfortable. Because honestly, there are lots of garments, like clothes in general are super uncomfortable. And if you're aware of your clothing, it can be a kind of a nuisance, and it can be kind of a source of stress. But most of us forget that we're wearing clothing because we're so used to it that our brain just blocks it out. So what we need to do is just get very used to wearing the mask, and then it won't be, such an issue for us anymore. But yeah, like I said, I wear it for 8 hours a day. I take it off quickly to eat lunch. And later, years from now, when this is all over, if I have the sniffles that isn't severe enough to stay home, but maybe, possibly contagious, then yeah, I think I would wear a mask to go out and about or to go to work. I think that that's really an easy thing that you can do to protect other people. So I think that that's just going to be a tool in my toolbox from now on. So if I can, peer pressure you as someone that has a few followers on YouTube, please don't go to family gatherings, especially if you're like me and you live in the middle of America where things are getting completely out of control, because I think that there's so many people that are disengaging with reality. And I think that sometimes fear will make you do that. Fear will make you check out of what's real. And so they are getting together with their family for the meal holiday that we're having, the feast holiday next week. So please don't do that. Just stay home, have the meal with whoever lives in your house, and keep wearing your mask. I know it's really frustrating to go out and see people who don't care about other people and who are not wearing their mask properly, or that aren't wearing a mask at all. And I know that it makes you feel a little gaslit, to be honest. But I don't think that takes away from the fact that, you're trying to do the right thing, that you're trying to protect people, and that you understand that the mask is important. That's still very important. So I'd like to do the opposite of gaslighting for you right now. What you're doing is correct. What you're doing is important. Keep doing it. If the act of you wearing a mask stops one other person from getting sick, then I think it was worth it. So don't lose hope. Hang in there. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.